Welcome to Bingewatchpodcast.com, where we, just like you, love to find a show on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, iTunes, or wherever, and watch it as fast as we can. Music is provided by Fall Into Flux, off of their album From the Outside Looking In.
And he showed me he said you see these 4 red lights here? And I said, are they red or are they green? I don't know. Red, green, colorblind. They're so tiny. That's right. That as you start recording, I was like, I don't know. Is it recording?
So we had to tear up the assistant podcast contract that we had signed. So we are recording.
Cool.
So let's go. So this is Bingewatchpodcast.com. It's our first podcast. On the show, we have Paul.
Hey.
Ginger.
Hello.
And Ron.
Hello. Hello.
And we're just going to talk about TV shows that we like, whether we watch them live, DVR them, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, what are the other ones? Roku, BitTorrent, however you watch them. So I'm going to start off with a show that Ron and I talked about. I think it was us. Maybe 9 months ago. You recommended it to me. I said I had already watched the first episode and was sort of kind of impressed, but it reminded me a lot of some other shows that I thought were going to be good but weren't good, so I kind of backed away from it, which was Orphan Black.
Ah,
yeah.
Cool, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
I've seen the first episode of it. I liked it.
yeah, the first episode, I'll say it's intriguing, but it didn't hook me. I mean, it was literally 9 months before I came back and started to rewatch it.
Well, that's the setup, though. A lot of times,
I felt that way about that one too.
The first,
I didn't like it either.
The first 2 or 3 episodes, sometimes it's like they're establishing everything. So,
well, it was. I think it was just because it rang. It felt a little dollhouse. And then what was the? I can't remember the other one. There was 2. There's been 2 or 3 young, 20-something. I'm a badass shows that had some potential, but ended up being, in my mind, pretty bad.
Yeah.
4 or 5
the
episodes.
Dollhouse was used to be on Fox years ago before Angel came out of that, didn't he? The dude.
no,
What am I
Buffy?
thinking of?
Buffy.
No, that's But no, that was a badass spy chick. What was her name?
That was Dollhouse.
No, it was before.
Was Dollhouse?
It was
did Whedon
before
do Dollhouse?
Yeah,
Elijah Dusku was the.
She was like
Dollhouse.
dead, something dead again, or.
No, that's Dollhouse. She was.
And she was.
Okay.
She was
Yeah.
also in Buffy as well.
And then, what's her name that married the baseball player that was in Sin City, the dancer in Sin City? She had a show.
Oh, Jessica Alba?
That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah. She had a show, and that was like James Cameron produced or something.
Yeah,
if I remember right. So I didn't like any of those. Like I really I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool concept. They were. I thought they were all fairly terrible shows, and I backed away from it. And that's what was I watched Orphan Black, and I was like, okay, it's Dollhouse again. It's that. And so I went anyway. 9 months later, finally started watching it again. I think because I at that point just didn't have anything else I wanted to watch, and it was on season 1 was on Amazon. Which I recently, because I ordered 387,000 packages in the last couple of months, did Amazon Prime, so I get the video stuff for free.
Right.
For free.
For free, yeah. It's a scam, and I want to do an entire show sometime about comparing Netflix and Amazon, Hulu, and all that stuff. But so watched Orphan Black, and it was end of the episode 2. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I really, really like this.
You mean season 2?
No, episode 2. Episode 1, it's okay. It's obviously a setup. You don't know what's going on. You do kind of sort of know what's going on. But what really hooked me on it, and I'm not giving away anything here because literally 4 seconds into the show you find out that what's-her-name plays a significant amount of different characters in the show. Much like Dollhouse. Like every time she woke up, she was somebody different, right? She was prepared for a different mission or whatever. And I think maybe that's where I was
but the difference, I think, there is that in Dollhouse, she was playing like she spirals. It's her. It's always her, but she's just playing a different character,
I didn't
different
know you
role.
ever watched that.
Dollhouse. She wasn't.
he watched it because he thought Dollhouse meant something else.
Eliza Dushku.
It was rated a little differently.
I think in Dollhouse,
Not
if I
that
remember,
kind of dollhouse.
if I
When
remember,
are these girls going to start making out? That's what he kept asking himself.
I was very disappointed.
I seem to remember in Dollhouse that she wasn't aware that she
Did they
had
erase
these-
her memory or something?
Yeah. That was the bit there.
Yeah, so her name is Tatiana Maslany. I don't know if I'm pronouncing
She
it.
was
Yeah,
up for some kind of award last year.
She was first season. She was nominated for Emmy or something, or
Yeah.
something.
Golden Globe. That's
Golden
what it
Globe.
was.
Yeah.
And she's Canadian, which I'm going to give her a pass on that. But what really blew me away was when she started playing the other characters.
Right.
And how different they were, and then how well she played them. Each one of them was totally spot on. So of all her characters in the show, this is what I think you'll be surprised who I thought was the one I liked the most and I wanted to have more screen time. Who was your favorite character out of everybody that she played?
All the ones that she played?
Yep.
Well, I like the German.
Yeah.
The German chick when she plays her, the really effed up one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like when she plays the soccer mom, because that's just she's so uptight and so different. And then she does a really good job of playing the scientist chick, the one with the dreads.
Yeah. It's all happy, hippie, go lucky, Bob Marley.
How many characters does she
There's
play?
5 of them in there.
Well,
More that we know
they're
of.
clones, so
Right.
Oh, Ron just gave the entire series away.
Well, you find that out right off.
Yeah, it's like it's literally 4 seconds in. You're like, oh, and that's maybe the other thing that it was like 4 seconds in. Here's what's going on.
I think you can even figure that out by watching the titles.
Yeah.
The title intro every episode. You can kind of figure out that it's a cloning thing.
Yeah.
Or
Before I
is
forget
it?
about it,
Or
it's
is it?
kind of important that everybody knows that we're drinking Moscow Mules while we're recording this. Cheers. Thanks to Ginger. She made us all cocktails. So we're going to record until our cocktails run out, then we'll take a break.
That's right.
And then we're going to have more cocktails.
Always have to have cocktails.
Deviled eggs.
I'm really scared. I don't know what it's some ancient Russian Chinese thing that she's doing here, mixing up stuff. So my favorite of far and away is because it is a fairly serious show, but Allison, who is the soccer mom, really provides the comic relief in the show, and it's so spot on to this like completely uptight suburban housewife, desperate, right off of Desperate Housewives, just silly, worried about stupid shit, uptight, totally suppressing personality, everything that's about her, and she's funny, and she's so spot on. And then there's a couple of scenes where then Allison has to play the other ones, right? Because they all look exactly like. Did you watch? Did you watch it?
I'm up to date on it.
Okay, so then Allison has to go and act like she's some of the other clones, and it's Soccer Mom playing the other ones, and
those
then
subtle nuances are amazing.
It's so spot on that she's an actress playing a character, playing a different character, and you're super familiar with
acting as that character, different character than her,
trying to convince people that she's somebody that she's not, that just looks like her. And Allison was far and away my favorite character so far. And then I can't remember what's the psycho, and she's not Russian, she's Ukrainian. That's different, right?
German, I thought.
No, she's Russian. I thought she was Russian.
She's
Ukrainian.
Maybe,
I think Ukrainian.
That's my favorite. She makes me giggle every time.
No, I loved it too. So I have a really, I hate villains that stay around too long. Shows are like, oh, this is a great villain. What do? We can't transition away from this villain. And obviously one of the clones, there's different clones and they're different. Their villains are good people depending on what part of the show you are and what's going on in that particular time. But I hate villains that stick around too long. And I think it's like Eliana or something like that. I'm not really something like that. So at one point I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. And then they keep her around. And then she became my second favorite character because by the time they rolled on season 2, it totally makes sense that she's around and everything's going on, and she ends up being like, the savior a lot of the times, and she's totally freaking out of her mind.
She's batshit crazy.
Oh yeah, she's worse than batshit crazy.
And we don't even know. I mean, it kind of touches upon the shit that she went through, and we don't even know to the depths of the hell that she went through.
Well, and that's
Which
before
totally
the
makes
show starts, and then the hell that she has to go through during the show. Every episode, she's enduring some other significant trauma that would destroy somebody's life, and she just kind of soldiers on, just like F it, and moves on. So
It seems I seem to remember, because it was a while back, I only watched one episode, and then I skipped on to something else.
Because it was the first one.
Yeah, it was the first one, and it didn't hook me in. Didn't somebody get killed? One of the clones get killed, like almost
instantaneously.
I was like,
well, that's the very first
like,
one is the
That's
premise
how
is,
she finds out.
and that's where it kind of gets you hooked in, is that she realizes that this is a clone. A girl looks exactly like her, steps in front of a train, a moving train.
Yeah, well, see, and it started off with such a bang that I was like, okay, cool. And then, of course, I fell off of it because it didn't. I guess I get impatient with too much setup in some ways.
Yeah, for sure. There's a balance between too much setup and too quick to the punch.
Yeah, yeah. And see, they delivered the punch, but then it was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, no. The first episode and a half, you're like, I don't understand what's going on. Oh, okay. Now I get it.
Right.
But I think part of that too is in terms of like how they lay it out is the character's confusion too, because she has zero knowledge of what's going on. So
right.
You find out as she finds out things.
And that's kind of the cool part, is that she's this street hustler that sees this woman stepping from a train. She has like no money. She's like scrounging to get by. She's and
she takes
trying to get her kid back and all this stuff. She's got all these things going on in her life, and she steps. Sees this woman who looks identical to her step in front of a train, and she sees her purse laying on the train platform, and she takes it and runs off with it. And you're like, hey, I'm just gonna it's got her identification, it's got her house keys and car keys and all this stuff in there. It's like, I'm just going to step into her life and mooch what I can off of her. And then she gets whole wrapped
looks
up
like Mama's going shopping.
So what I'm saying is, I gave it a second shot. I think you should, Paul, maybe dive back into it.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
There's a great sex scene in there too. Remember the one with her boyfriend, who was her watcher?
Well, it's the boyfriend of the woman that jumps in front of the train, the police, and she's a police officer. And so you get into all this. He thinks he's with one
person, but he's actually with another person.
Yeah.
But I think,
and that sounds like a pretty good Saturday night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That was good.
Is this where we bring in the big black dildo?
Now we can bring in the dildos.
That's what they say all the time.
Yeah. So it reminds me like how I wrote that off. It reminds me a lot of, and I just recently watched the first season of The Americans. Which I have major issues with, but I still watched the entire first episode.
Carrie Russell.
Okay,
I tried that, and I kind of liked it.
So they had me at the scene
the first two episodes, man, I was like, done.
Okay, you're out.
Well,
He's too much of a pussy. That's what
drives me crazy.
He's a pussy.
Are you a trained Russian killer or just somebody's bitch? It's
she's the one that has to step up and have the balls.
And that's exactly why I ditched out. I was like, no.
Not that women can't, but you're talking about Russian spies.
Yeah,
but it should have been, hey, you're equal badasses, and it's not your old ladies having to clean up your shit all the time and like wipe away your tears. I mean, it should have been like, okay, we're in this together. It's really difficult. Here's how we're going to go. But what really made me commit to the first, I think it's episode 1. It's where Carrie Russell's dressed up and she's doing her spy stuff, and it's set in the late 60s, I think. And she's going down on this guy, and he looks at her surprised, and she's like, "What? You've never had a girl stick her thumb up your ass?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to have to watch this now." This just got interesting.
Yeah. There was your hook.
Yeah, so I watched it, and it's on Amazon currently. The first season is free if you have Amazon Prime, which is not free, and then you have to buy season 2. Amazon pisses me off because
what's that on? BBC?
No, it's on FX.
FX.
Yeah.
It's on FX.
Orphan Black's BBC.
Oh, okay.
BBC America.
Yeah, the thing, and I was talking to you about this, Brian, last time I was over, is that the thing I hate about Amazon is that I'm so used to how well Netflix works, the playback and all that stuff, and it's like Amazon tries to compete with everybody, but they don't try to put any value or any bells and whistles on services they do. They're just trying to do everything. And it's like the fast forward. You don't see the image moving forward. You just have to watch the bar. It's like
on Netflix, yeah.
Not only that, the fast forward is you press the fast forward button. An option comes up. Then you have to press the fast forward button once more or twice more, depending on how fast you want to go, and then you have to hold it down. So it's almost like you're playing Super Mario Brothers or whatever, or that you're doing a finishing move in Mortal Kombat. You're like, every time you want to fast forward, it's just like this complicated. I just can't press it. And
it's
for
the
me,
Konami code.
Netflix their interface and stuff is a little bit more Apple-ish, not really tricked up, but it works. It's real functional, and what it does really well.
Right.
There's still a couple things I like Amazon. On Prime, when you click on an episode, and right when you click on it, there's options there you can click down to start from beginning or resume. Where Netflix, you have to press it, let it load up and start playing, and then there's some buffering time, then it says, do you want to resume or whatever, then you make your selection, there's some additional buffering time. So there's like pros and cons of either, but the Amazon control, it's way too tricked up, it's like too many options, and then a lot of simple stuff, like you're saying, really isn't there. My main thing that drives me crazy about them is they give you one season free and they want you to pay for the second season. So in protest,
I was about to say that I really appreciate them asking me if I'd like to buy the season.
yeah.
It's like, or get me hooked on season 1 and then season 2. Oh no, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, and which is better. Like what I kind of expected them to do was what they do, the one-click purchase. When they loaded that up like 9 months ago on Amazon.com, I can't tell. I bought 3 things on accident.
Whoops.
Because you click on it and it's bought, and then I'm seeing something in my cart, then I got to go undo the order, and so I didn't have to dig down into the options.
Return it.
And I digged in options and turn off one click, and luckily, or I'd be having more stuff at the door. I don't know what it is. More packages of dildos on my doorstep.
Is it buzzing?
Yeah. I don't. They don't
put
put the batteries in beforehand, do they? When they ship it to you?
Yeah, Paul. Do they put the batteries?
They put the little plastic
and
they're batteries.
We defer to your expertise.
Well, and I like them pre-tested. Okay. But the half dead battery is
being quality control at Adam and Eve. Oh God, man, this has been such a long day. My ass is killing me. I've got to get out of here. I got to take a smoke break, Bob. I got.
Are these lithium-ion batteries? They're really good.
I've used a whole box of handy wipes. I need to.
Yeah, this is bad.
So take a break.
So what I do in protest, because of how Amazon's set up, if I love the show, then I immediately go to iTunes and buy it on iTunes. Because at least they're like, hey, if you want to watch some shit, you got to pay for it.
Hey, take that, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, it's more straightforward for me, and I'm okay like in that environment rather than I feel like, I just got bait and switch into watching an episode or a season of this, and now I got to pay for it. Well, okay, I'll pay for it on my iTunes account, which streams everywhere, and I don't have to have a Hulu app. And
we never buy anything on iTunes but music. Do we?
Yeah.
I don't ever remember.
We've bought some videos, like for our daughter, but we've not done.
Oh, you should totally buy all your movies and TV shows. If you pay for anything, you should do it all through iTunes.
Do we pay for anything?
Yeah, we've done it through iTunes and we've done it through Amazon. Both.
I defer to him.
He has an extensive vinyl collection.
Apparently, we know who's in control of the checkbook. It's Ron. He's
no, it's not.
No, she is, but I do all the online purchasing pretty much.
Not all of it.
Not all of it, but a lot.
Who do you think got the selfie stick?
I know, the selfie stick is all you.
Selfie stick
I give you credit
showed up at the door yesterday.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, exactly.
And his question is, why did you get orange? Because it's mine.
So fuck you.
Yeah. Hey,
wow, it's got
you want to control
control
the color of the stuff that comes to the door, what color the dildo is, then you order the dildo.
Here's your dildo. Here's my selfie stick.
We're not claiming it's your dildo, so we'll call it the dildo.
Yeah. So
I don't care what color it is. My eyes are closed anyway.
Yeah. So that's what I'm all over the board. I used to be just Netflix.
Yeah.
And then
that's pretty much what I do.
I signed up for Hulu, which Hulu is really hit and miss. Like at some points they have like a lot of good shows on. That one really irritating, and from a marketing standpoint, I don't understand the purpose of it and why they go about it this way. Like once a series that they're showing, and it's something that's on TV now, right? and they do commercials. I mean, they're making money. It's not like I don't understand the purpose of it. But once it gets to like episode 7 or 8, the first one goes away, and then the next episode, the second one goes away. And so there's 6 episodes, but by the time of some of these shows have 22 episodes.
Yeah.
So who wants to jump in and watch episode
Right.
14 through 20?
Right.
I don't get it at all. So
But
I
if
just
you've
avoid
already
it.
watched it, what does it matter?
Yeah, or
Well, it's kind of geared, I think, probably to people that are in watching those, and they're looking to like catch
Yeah.
maybe the one they missed or whatever.
You're never going to go back and refer to something.
But if you're looking to watch a whole series, then it's not Hulu's not really the necessary.
yeah, and from a
choice.
from a marketing standpoint though, I would just put the first 5 episodes on there and then say, "Hey, dumbass, go watch it on CBS where we really make our money, or wherever." I don't get, and I've never tuned into any of those shows. I just once I realize they're that far in, they're like 4 months later going to be on Netflix anyway. So
Yeah, I've never heard anything but bad things about Hulu. That's why I've never even looked into it. Every time I hear somebody refer to Hulu, it's usually quickly followed by an eye roll or
Or they suck.
yeah. So it's
I have watched probably 5 or 6, 7 really good shows on there that weren't available anywhere
Aren't they
else.
supposed to be kind of marketed towards old school, old stuff? I thought that's what
So do
Hulu
you?
was.
see, it's
Finger?
there it starts.
Yeah, really.
That was a middle
comes-
finger
there
for
comes the
anyone
finger.
can't see.
No, like 70s sitcoms, old. Isn't that what they're...
They do have like a bunch of like Rampart and stuff like that.
Emergency,
yeah, and all that stuff.
I thought that was their
that was the
niche.
shit back in the day.
What was the spinoff of Emergency that was at the hospital where Trapper John? Was that it? Trapper John?
No, I don't think it was Trapper John.
No, I don't know. That's not-
Trapper John MD.
Yeah.
Did they call it? What did they call it? Like Rampart or something like that?
Maybe the original was Emergency and then the spinoff was Rampart.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I watched that. Emergency.
Trapper John was like...
Oh, I
80s.
love that
That's
show,
too-
Emergency, and it is horrible. Go watch an
I
episode
know,
of it
I know.
and
It's
see
so
how-
dated now. I mean,
how-
like you think some television shows are dated, but you go back and watch some of those early, late '60s, early '70s shows, and some of them are just like, oh my god.
Yeah, so Paul and I, when he was over the other day, we were talking about MASH.
Yeah,
Because that just recently, the whole thing came on Netflix.
first 5 seasons only.
That's it?
That's it.
Of 10? No.
There was 11
11
I believe.
seasons?
11 years. 11 seasons.
Yeah,
Let's watch MASH. I think I'm the only girl that I know that ever watched MASH.
I-
No girl I know
I love
ever
MASH.
watched it.
I love MASH.
Absolutely. That was the only show when I was growing up that my dad and I would watch together.
Yeah,
that's cool.
My
Yeah.
dad loved that
Because
too.
he was served in the Korean
10:30
War,
PM.
so
Yeah.
even though it was really about Vietnam, it was
Sure, yeah.
He was very much a touchdown show for him.
So I've watched, I think, the first 13 episodes now.
Yeah,
Ish.
I'm about I think first 7 or 8.
It is as good as I remember. Like,
Yeah.
it still is funny. It still is hits home. It's still very political for its day.
Spear Chucker Jones.
Yeah. But it is very
Really?
hard
Really,
to
guys?
watch because the editing is so bad. The shot selection is so bad.
Well, they
made the first like 5 episodes for $9.
yeah, there's very much just like, hey, is that a blue light
There's,
special on that?
shit jumps around. Like, you see a scene and then you see another scene. You have no idea like how you got from A to B, and so it's for me. It's like it still is funny. I still think Alan Alda is genius, and the whole cast is good.
Well, you can see the main like 5 people, 5 or 6 people. They're really good, and then the rest of the actors around them are almost extras.
But would you have noticed all
their
of that?
quality is so different.
No, in the day.
Yeah, back
No.
then you would have noticed. You only know that now.
Oh, you'd have been like, look how advanced this show is.
Yeah.
So cutting
there's
edge.
I think Ginger.
First day it was.
I think you're right to a certain extent because people's viewers become more sophisticated.
Yeah,
and the more jaded stuff is
Well,
like
he's very critical, so I
Yeah.
would expect him to do that now. But
yeah.
back then, I don't know that we would have.
No,
noticed
I
those
probably wouldn't. I mean, I was whatever I was 7 or 8 when those things were coming on live. And originally watching them.
Well, you look at shows like Archie Bunker and things like that, and you go back and watch them now, and they seem very, very sitcom-y. But at the time, the issues that they were talking about, integration, racism, stuff like that, it was nobody.
It was
talked
cutting
about
edge
that.
for its
It
day,
was
yeah.
very cutting edge, and you look back now, it's looks a little hokey.
Yeah,
a little
and
canned,
I think
but-
the only thing that they really stayed away from, at least in the first season that I'm on, is the whole racism thing. Because, I read the book in junior high, I think, and then the movie's obviously a little bit more risque in per the book. But I was trying to think back when I watched those, because when you texted me, like, oh my God, I forgot there's a character in here named Spear Chunker Jones.
Yeah. And they in the credits, Spear Chunker.
Yeah. And I feel like in the movie, in the book, it was a little bit more like they were showing, like, if you feel like this is what a black person's about, then you're dumb, because this guy's a doctor. He played at a football or something like that.
Yeah.
And I felt like the movie and the book was very much more trying to address, like, you're dumb, and we're going to put this name. We're going to give him a name that you would call a black person, and then make fun of you, right? Yeah. The viewer, if that's the attitude that you have. And I feel like in the show they shied away from that significantly. He's there, but his screen time is maybe 10 seconds an episode.
Yeah. Because
there'll be some scene and they're like, hey, where's Spear Chunker at? And then he comes running up, hey guys, what's going on? Well, and then they cut to some other scene.
I had forgotten, it'd been so long since I'd watched the series, I'd forgotten that he had actually lived in the swamp with the guys.
Right,
yeah. And
I
was in their tent.
I was like, but you see him in there, trying to get some sleep, guys.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Spear Chunker or Chucker?
Chucker. Spear Chucker, which is just marginally a little bit more racist than Spear Chunker. Yeah. Hey, did you compete in the Olympics in the javelin? Is that no? I'm a Chucker.
Yeah. So, but I think you said the actor, like my favorite actor. Now looking back at it now, I think the best actor in it that doesn't really stand out is the guy that plays Burns.
Yeah, Larry Linville.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
Yeah,
he's phenomenal,
and I believe he's passed away since then. But he left the series because he did not. He was a one-note character.
Yeah,
and they did not. Most of the characters on the show had a
range,
had an arc, had a story arc.
Yeah.
He had none. That's why he left. He said, "I don't want to be this buffoon that everybody hates."
Yeah, and he played it really well, because he was totally believable that he was an asshole.
The thing I remember
asshole.
best from this show is the quote, "Frank Burns eats worms."
Yep.
And that has stuck with me, and I can't 100% remember what episode or where it came from, but that little gem is stuck in my head. And
that's why you're so screwed up today.
Yeah, and every now and then I'll just be sitting at my desk working.
That's not stuck in your head.
Frank Burns eats worms.
Larry Linville.
So I was trying to say, watch Orphan Black, because I think it's pretty cool.
Wow, that was the worst segue. That was
come back around to the original topic.
Yeah. No, that was good. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, and I bought the second season on iTunes, and basically watched it in like 3 days.
It's supposed to start up again.
Yeah, season 3 is coming out here soon.
How much do they charge? Is it like $1.99 an ep, and then they give a discount for a season?
I think it's $2.99 an episode, and then typically seasons are like anything from like $21, depending. Like something that's really popular is up to $34.99, something like that.
I just have I don't know. I feel like a little bit sometimes I'm like a Luddite. Sometimes I have to own the physical media. I'm with that with sports.
I was that way with music for...
Don't be afraid of technology.
Yeah, I'm not that way with music, but I don't buy stuff through iTunes.
I have everything on iTunes. I have like...
Screw that.
90 movies and
I want to lug all this stuff around with
I know.
forever.
Yeah, and then you're going to be like, hey,
because
my phone, look how badass my phone is. How do I put this Blu-ray into my phone so I can watch this movie I want to watch?
But yeah, and I totally get it. I mean, it's so weird for me to think like that, and that I'm not an adopter of this stuff, because I've worked with computers for nearly 20 years. But it's just, to me...
Hey,
it's something
watching porn on your computer is not working with a computer.
Hey, not the way I do it. Not the way you haven't seen me yet.
I want to keep it that way.
He has a lot of USB attachments. Let's put it that way.
Some of them jingle, some of them jangle. They're all very beautiful.
Someone in Indonesia can control the dildo on my desk. That's all I'm saying. It plugs right in.
And that's all I really care about. But see, the funny thing
just
about...
Just don't pack it in your suitcase. It'll jump out on the back.
The funny thing, like with books especially, is that I love the act of reading a book. You know, it's not... And with Kindle, it's like this level of separation.
I hate it too with books. It's the tactile thing.
Yeah.
But the screens kill me, like sitting down and trying to read, even on those white Kindle things.
But as much as you read, what the fuck are you going to do with all those books?
I trade them
what
in.
do you do?
But see, that's the thing is that I feel like I'm getting swindled a little bit, because I can go trade it in. I can let somebody borrow it.
You can borrow. You can let people borrow your books online.
I totally get that, but it's the thing that I feel like I'm getting cheated, and they're charging so much for the media. If it was if it was charging like for most popular things, like a quarter of the price, I would probably be a bigger adopter of it, But I feel
if
like
you got 75% off, you'd be a bit. I would hope so.
I feel like they're robbing me, and they don't care that I know it.
It's like version.
Yeah, it's like it's little bits. They're making a huge profit margin.
I feel this. I mean,
Sure.
with
to some degree.
yeah, totally. I
Books
get it.
are a little different.
But the movies on iTunes are generally $14.99 and $19.99. Same if you'd go buy the Blu-ray or whatever.
But see, I love Netflix though. So I mean, I'm not like that with everything, but I don't generally buy stuff by like a show. I haven't ever done that yet, so I can't see myself.
Well, when you finally get a show that you love so much you can't wait and you buy it, you'll have to let us know.
I might.
I think it's also like us. We're on that cusp of 40-somethings that. We're on the cusp of grew up with the hard copy, media, went from VHS tapes to DVDs and the Blu-ray, and then the jump to digital is part of that, of course, and we're in that. But still, the kids today, they don't have any problem because the digital part of it is their digital part of it is just second nature to them, so they don't have any problem. Like, Blu-ray, yeah, that's old stuff,
Yeah. Well, and it's a generational thing because you
buy
buy
since he referred to them as kids.
Well, but you think
kids.
about vinyl and stuff like that, and it's
Shaggy.
and vinyl's making a resurgent. Because they're, it's what is old is new again, and they're also providing MP3 downloads of the album as well, and access to.
Yeah, somebody should give all these
liner
hipsters
notes.
like feedback money or something. Like, hey, thanks for making all this other crap we couldn't sell any other way cool.
Yeah. When is VHS going to make a comeback?
God, I hope so, man. I still got like 3 boxes of VHS movies.
What was that show in the 70s, 80s? The guy with the beard.
He was out in the wilderness?
Yes.
It was a spin-off of Little House.
Dan Haggerty?
Yeah.
No, was it? No, it wasn't.
That's who you look like. I just got a...
Grizzly Adams.
Grizzly
Grizzly
Adams. You are
Adams.
totally
Grizzly
Grizzly
Adams.
Adams.
Everybody out in listening land, you can't see my magnificent beard, but it is here.
He has truly a Grizzly
Magnificent
Adams
is appropriate word.
full-on crazy ass beard.
Yeah.
There's
like
birds and shit in there.
There might be.
If he hung
You,
out
sir,
at
have a mad woodchopper beard now.
I do. I do.
You remember that? When I had a little bit of the mad woodchopper going back in the fall.
Yeah. It's funny that talking about the falls made me think about what we was talking about with VHS. Remember whenever Disney would put stuff in the vault, and then we'd have these VHS.
That was a total scam.
Oh, it's
You
such
know
a
it
scam.
was.
And Ron saying,
What a
I
racket.
have 3 boxes of Beauty and the Beast back here. And I have 8,000 Superman Death comics.
Do they still do that electronically? Like pull it off of all the...
They still
I think they do.
still do that. Yeah.
God, they're geniuses.
Yeah, really. What a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, and all those people like would come in and pay $40 for those pieces of crap VHS stuff. It's only going to be on the market for 2 years. We have to buy it now.
I remember people used to come in and offer, back in our video rental Hastings days, people would come in and offer for like after it went on, whatever. What did Disney call it? Their when they put it back in the vault. Back in the vault. They would offer, if we had a copy on VHS, they would say, I'll give you $100 for it.
Dude.
Oh, yeah, the rentals?
Yeah.
Well, it's been watched 1,000 times, and it barely plays, and it's missing like 8 places where we had to splice it back together because the gunky machine that the person never cleaned ate it.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But yeah, for $100, I'll sell it to you.
Well, see, that's the thing is that, I remember looking up in the book for the VHS, the book on the prices, that if it was a rental only, it was $100.
Yeah.
No joke, $100. It was like
People
It was
would
like-
offer for that?
Yeah.
no, that's what the company, like a replacement value.
Yeah.
If you lost a rental, It's like it cost you $100.
Well, it was what they would do early on when we first started working. There was a matrix, right? So if they knew it was going to sell below a certain number of copies, it came out at $100 or $99 or $149. I think some of them.
Yeah, they were
ridiculous because they knew that the rental stores were going to be only buyers primarily. But then if it was going to sell above a certain amount, it came at a sell through like $29.99.
Yeah, supply.
What a ripoff! And today's that's like $100 today or something. $29 in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that we pay. That's what we paid for movies back then.
Yeah. Well, and you think about it now, the way they have it situated now is that when something comes out, it's a Blu-ray, and you have a DVD copy with it, and you have a digital download copy, and you're paying close to $30. Unless you get it on Amazon, you get a huge discount.
$14.99 on iTunes.
You're paying with digital only, sir.
Yes.
Occasionally, it's $20. $19.99.
$20.
Yeah, it's not bad. You should check it out.
But whenever I get Blu-rays at Costco, it's about $19. So even with the DVD and the Blu-ray,
I'm surprised that
big box.
Somebody has.
Well, they can't. iTunes would be the only place anybody would buy it if it wasn't similar.
Oh, right.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't made a deal with one of the studios has made a deal with iTunes and said, for that digital download part, that okay, you pay whatever it is, $30 for the DVD, the Blu-ray DVD pocket, and so the digital being a digital download from them directly from the studio, it's on iTunes already for you, or you have a code to buy.
It is. There's a code. You go. I've done it a couple times. The last probably 4 or 5 Blu-rays I bought. There's a code, so you open up iTunes. And I don't remember how it works. Click on some button, enter your code in, and it feeds it into your iTunes, and it's there forever.
But but are they going through iTunes for it, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's directly through iTunes.
Is it okay?
So I don't even know if the other companies are compete. God, what was the name of that other company? It was a separate. I'm sure it's still out there. A separate site, and it's your digital download. And I can't remember off the top of my head.
Walmart was trying that too.
They did it for a while, and they gave up. And then there was another company, and so some of like the studios were partnered with iTunes, and then some of the studios were partnered with this other company that I can't remember the name of. Essentially, same thing. Enter a code, boom, it's there digitally. I did it all. I only bought the ones I knew I could feed up on iTunes. Like for the kids, like the Transformer movies and stuff like that, were probably the first one was the last Blu-ray that I bought, and we have it permanently on iTunes because of that.
Yeah,
cool. We need a cocktail break? I think I'm almost done.
I'm done.
I'm about halfway done.
Well, you can chug a lug.
I can chug a lug, thanks.
Well, I'm just trying to keep up with Ginger sitting a mad pace over there with her drink, so I think I want to keep up with her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like...
Loves herself some Moscow.
I do. I'm a monster.
All right, well, let's make another one. So we'll start with you.
Okay.
Ginger. Next up is Ginger. And I wanted to confirm or let you confirm or deny a rumor because Paul was pretty sure this was the case. This is all Paul. To disclaimer up front.
This might
He
be a
thought-
surprise for me as well.
He thought that you wanted to come do the podcast because you thought it was binge drinking and not binge watching.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
But you do admit that your drink is better with lime. Hand squeezed.
I do, and I will always. Anytime I do a
We have-
podcast, I will always have drinks.
Unfortunately, people, we have
I'm
run
much
out of limes
more-
for our Moscow Mules.
This is bullshit. I'm switching to whiskey.
Well, that was all of the ginger beers,
So what exactly goes into ginger beer, vodka,
Moscow Mule, yeah.
ice, mint,
and
Lime.
wine.
A little bit of
And
lime.
lime.
You need
Now-
the official recipe calls for a lime wedge in there, a real lime wedge in the drink, and then actual like an ounce of lime juice.
But-
what did y'all bring
So-
with you? A half of a
Yeah,
lime?
so we had a half a lime.
We
so
were
it
we
seems
were very
like
lame to start
this
with.
is supposed to be 1/3 lime, and we're about 1/32 lime.
Basically, yes.
Okay,
It's like if you took a lime and just waved it in the air over it, like
but
you're
the
at church
the
or
key ingredient is
We're
the copper mug.
Channel the lime.
something. That copper mug is awesome. That thing is cold.
And that's stainless steel inside. We need true copper all the way
We
through.
are ordering copper mugs off of
Next podcast,
Amazon.
copper.
Yeah, but
Please, I'm tired of these wannabe cups.
Well, make sure y'all look into that. You know what I was talking about, that copper is potentially lethal. I don't know.
Whatever, you're supposed
think
to
you're-
wear that copper
I think
underwear.
you're thinking about
and it
mercury.
Makes you more fertile.
What? It makes you grow hair on your chin?
We're gonna get the all
Times
mer-
10?
We're gonna get
Well-
the pure mercury mugs.
Paul, you're not just supposed to swallow pennies all day long. That's your problem.
Have you seen my ass pennies?
I still have to send out the Ass Pennies video about once every quarter or so.
That is the funniest thing.
Somebody deserves it, and that's all I do is link them the Ass Pennies video.
Well, it's like
I'm unaware of this.
It's like drinking out of a pewter mug. I mean, lead content, but you're not like drinking it like for 80 hours straight. It's
Lead is bad?
lead is bad. Ask the Romans.
Oh,
Ask
okay.
the Romans. Lead pipes
Would
deliver
you-
in your water.
Mein Kampf is over there if you want to pick that book off the
Yeah.
shelf.
It's right over
Look at
there. I
Brian's,
was
bookshelf here.
I was looking. It's right next to the Idiot,
Yeah.
and there's another one. Something. It's about love or something. I was like, oh, this is a nice little mix.
I like it, yeah. You don't want to put Mein Kampf with some other evil books because then it's like the Necronomicon.
It could take a life of its own.
That's right. Cthulhu would
Did you say the
rise up from the dream world and take over
That's
the
not
world.
something you read on your Kindle.
Is that you, Pinhead?
Yeah, if you want to ever read a funny book, yeah, that's Mein Kampf.
More or less, I read them.
Did I read it? I ruined it.
I just the Cliff Notes,
Yeah.
really. So what?
So Ginger has a show she wants to talk about.
Oh, sure. I mean, if we're gonna go next, I'll
You're
go.
next. You're next.
But mine's a little bit too.
God, if it's The Bachelor, I'm throwing this thing at you. This drink.
You know better than that.
Okay.
it's on tonight and tomorrow.
So I'll tell you first the one
Now,
that I
tonight's
ever.
rose ceremony.
Somebody cries, somebody gets drunk, somebody goes home.
Yeah, and this one bitch goes crazy.
The first, I guess. First, let's talk about the first show I ever binge watched, and I know everybody in this room did this, which is Battlestar Galactica, the newest one. That's the first one that I ever wanted, any show that I ever wanted to binge watch. And
Yeah, I
let me
hooked
show you
on it.
the story. Is most of the time Ron and I watch things together. And he doesn't like me to watch something without him, and kind of vice versa. If we're going to watch something we're both into, we'll watch it together and wait for each other. But I let him, and I wasn't really into him. I was like, Battlestar Galactica, that was that show.
Whoa. You let him?
I let him, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I had to get a signed permission.
Yes.
Where are my balls? Oh, they're in your purse. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Never make them detachable, folks.
It's a detachable penis.
What was the name of the band that did that song, Detachable Penis?
Ween. I think that was a
Ween.
Ween.
No, it's not Ween.
Detachable penis? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it was Ween.
I thought it was like King Missile or something
Dude,
like that.
look
Dude,
that one up.
Ask our friend Google.
Oh,
I'll look
I
it
think
up and you-
King,
Okay.
King Missile, maybe.
Oh, you might be right. Why am I- you're
correct.
right.
You are
But
correct.
see,
King Missile,
Ween-
Detachable Penis.
Why did I
Ween.
think Ween?
Ween, King Missile.
They're very
phallic
similar.
names.
They're very
It's
similar.
the goofiness factor.
Yes,
there.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I love Ween. That's I
That's what I've heard.
nurse. A nurse.
Man, you just lobbed that one.
Love
Just
Ween.
nice.
Nurse.
So when he first started talking about Battlestar Galactica, obviously this was the 70s Dirk Benedict kind of show. I'm like, what? Okay.
Richard Hatch,
With little Chewbacca running around.
Lauren Green.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
What was that dude's name?
Boxley was the dog, the Daggett.
Oh, God.
I don't remember all that.
Is that an
Remember all
Ewok?
that.
Is
Even
that
as an
Ewok?
8-year-old, Boxley whipped my ass.
Yeah, pretty much.
So one Christmas break, he said, "Okay, just sit down and watch an episode."
And we watched. I made her watch the miniseries because
Yeah,
I'd already
that's what it
watched
was.
it.
Right.
And I can't remember if I'd watched the miniseries and then like the first episode 33, if I'd seen that. And by that point, I'm like, going, "Holy crap, this is really good." She has got to watch this. So I made her sit down and watch the miniseries.
Right.
And I had it. I think I had it on DVD at that point.
Yeah.
And I made you watch it.
You had the first season.
Yeah.
On DVD.
And what was your response to me after you watched that?
Let's watch the next one.
No. Your first was like you cussed me. She said something. She said, "Damn you for getting me hooked in this."
Yep. And we binge watched for the next 48 hours, a whole entire weekend, and I was hooked. So that was my first, which we could
But
talk
why?
about the greatness.
Why did you watch it? Why did you like it?
I don't know that I don't know. The complexity of it, I don't know. I probably watch shows more for characters.
It felt very plausible to me. I mean, they made it seem very, very gritty and real, and not like the original series. Or a lot of sci-fi shows sort of fall into the trap of being a little bit.
You
bit
could just
schlocky,
sense that it was different.
Yeah, some hokiness to it.
Yeah, but
It was.
felt,
You could tell it was. There was something different about this show that there wasn't anything else around like it, nor had
Really-
you ever seen anything like
a
that.
really good script, really good actors, and it was
And a bunch of Canadians.
Yeah.
They're the
Canadians.
best.
That's the theme of the show.
It's all
Canadians.
It is the
about.
Canadians.
It's all about the space Mormons.
Yeah. Our ship is about to blow up. That sounded not Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't know
what
sounded
that
more
was.
Indian than Canadian.
So
Unless it's Canadian England.
That would have been
Indian.
awesome if it had been an
Scotty.
entire Indian cast.
yeah.
They had that over in Bollywood, I believe.
Did they?
Yeah.
They start nuking.
Bollywood Galactica.
They start nuking the Earth, and then one's standing over there with a single tear rolling down his cheek.
Not
and he's
those-
not
not
even a
those
real.
Indians,
he's
Paul.
not even a real
The
Indian.
different Indians.
Yeah.
Hey, they're all the same.
Paul's
Okay.
trapped into the American Indian and did all the.
It wasn't even an Indian.
Did all the "Don't Litter" commercials.
Chief,
and
what's
stuff.
his
and,
name?
and he wasn't even a real Indian. He was like Italian or something.
No, he was
He
not.
was a real Indian.
He was not. Look it
Bullshit.
up.
I think he's right. I'm going to Google it, but I think the guy was like Italian.
I am going to be.
Suck it.
Suck it, fools.
Suck it long.
The
and
jury is
suck
not
it
in
hard.
yet.
Okay, so keep talking. I'm going to Google
So-
this Italian Indian guy.
Just to kind of talk, the first thing that sucked me in, because it is how the show started, the series started, was that Trisha Helfer.
Yeah,
No,
6.
she's fucking hot. Number one, her legs are 10 miles long, but I just thought she was fantastic.
And
can't-
again, somebody who has to play like 5 different people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she came off just so, stunningly beautiful, but so deadly. It's like you
Oh,
could
she's
tell.
completely convincing.
Yeah,
Cold,
she was very-
calculating,
yeah, it's
super
like-
intelligent. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything
that-
that you would think a Cylon would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby's neck.
Human Cylon. Yeah, snap. Yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
does the weight support? How does the little?
I
This little
really
neck
need
support
to go
that much
back
weight?
and start from the beginning. I would love to watch this again.
Oh yeah,
We really need to.
Yeah.
I've
If
watched
there
it,
weren't 20 other things we
I think,
need to watch.
twice all the way through. And maybe another time half the way through.
Who was the guy? And I also got hooked. And
FYI, Iron Eyes Cody was Sicilian.
I am
Yeah.
crushed.
Your childhood was just destroyed.
I know.
It was
Not
as
mine
an
because I knew
Okie.
it.
Just-
Yeah, but your childhood was destroyed. Or something else.
I
mean,
did
it's-
not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So disappointing.
Yeah, no, it's just marketing.
yeah.
Well, what?
Like there
crying-
wasn't
Damn,
plenty
yeah.
of
If
Indians
any-
out there who could have played that role.
If
Come
any of
on,
them needed
really?
to cry, it needed to be an authentic Indian.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, shit.
they've had a
they're,
rough.
they're
deal.
laughing now with the casinos, though.
yeah.
They're stealing the white man's
Right.
Yeah,
money
and
back.
cursing Iron Eyes Cody, stomping his burning him at the effigy or whatever.
Yeah.
So, the characters, which one was your favorite character? You said that's why you watched the show. But
And-
beyond her,
Beyond her, because she was the one that kind of first got me hooked on it. And people will argue with me because of
I'm
it.
totally
but
prepared to do that.
yes, I know you are. Anybody who has ever watched this, and I say this, they always argue. The one that she was involved with the
The scientist.
Gaius.
scientist, the Gaius.
Baltar.
always loved Gaius.
Gaius Baltar.
As lame as he was at times,
Ass whip.
Yeah, and as there was something about him that I always was drawn to.
You just liked him because he's good looking.
And he was so fucking hot.
Yeah. He had nice hair. But by season 2, I wanted something really heavy to drop out of the sky right on him. Just and smash him.
Yeah.
Again.
It
And
would
maybe
be
somebody come in and pick it up and go, oh,
Or
look
you
what,
hope
oh
that
my God,
they,
we dropped it on him again.
Or you hope that they airlocked him,
It would
You're
be
a Cylon
interesting to
traitor.
get other-
Airlock him.
We need to get female perspective on that. It would be interesting to see if other women feel
I would imagine more women like him.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, most good stories have to have that kind of focus of hate. I mean, you can't.
antagonist.
You got to have somebody that's that Weasley, the Major Burns character.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You have
50 Shades of Gaius.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You pretty much did.
Yeah. Anybody I ever talk to always says, "Oh, I hated him. I always loved him. Always." Didn't I? It's true.
At some point, like earlier, I was saying the villain that hangs around too long. If some point he would have died, I probably would not dislike his character as much as I did. But they just episode after episode, season after season, kept beating me down with Gaius.
Well, it kind of whipped my ass when he got pulled into the whole orgy,
Oh, when he became like a
that
cult leader there on the
that
on
kind
the
of
Galactica.
turned me off a little while, for a little while.
It was weird. What I liked about the show, I'm a huge lover of what the story arc for characters, like Paul was talking about earlier. And I thought they were obviously they were father and son, kind of diametrically opposed, belief-wise, politically, very much like the father and son thing is supposed to work. But and if Darius would hear Darius always starts off to describe a show to me something like this. He says, "Well, our hero does X, Y, and Z, right?" So, but it's always about like, why is this guy the person you're watching, or woman the person you're watching the show and driving the show? So obviously that father and son thing was huge throughout the entire series. But they're going through these horrible experiences, and it's very war oriented. And then you have one of them that will not give up no matter what. And there's even a scene in one of the episodes that he gets in front of everybody and shows them he will not give up no matter what. And he lets that one guy beat his ass in front of all his people that he reports to, and just stands there and takes it. The metaphor being, this is what this is about. The larger conflict is we will continue to take the punches until this thing's over. Whereas the other character, and I don't want to give away who is which, has one scene where he's fighting and he gets blown out of his spacecraft and he's got a hole in his suit and he's leaking oxygen and he's holding it in with his hand as he's floating through space. And then he kind of comes to this certain realization of like, hey, maybe I've been through enough. Maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where I'm supposed to go. And he takes his hand off and begins to gas into space, and he's going to lose all his oxygen and die at some point. And he's rescued. But I think that's a duality of the hero, right? Is like there is like the John Wayne stand and deliver, and then there's like the aspect of like it is a very human story, and at some point you can only take so much, and then maybe you just don't want it. Maybe the fighting isn't worth the next day of getting your ass kicked. So I thought that there's a lot of storylines in there, but I thought that was the storyline of the father and the son in there. Mm-hmm. And they both vacillate kind of across back and forth between those two things, but in the end they had a very unique story through there. So I really liked those characters, and the son was a little bit of an ass whip for me too, because he's a little bit of a whiny baby.
Apollo.
A lot. Yeah, he's not your typical hero. It's a little flawed in the fact that he's kind of thrust into a situation that he's not prepared for, nor does he want to be in at all.
Right.
Oh, the center of the rock
don't-
of that show was always Edward James Olmos. So
Oh yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, I remember reading about that episode when he smashed that model ship. He completely smashed it, and it was a real antique, and it wasn't just a prop. It was like worth like $12,000 or something. And he just tore it down.
Nice.
I think that show, and I don't think anybody here would probably dispute this, but I think it will stand the test of time. I think we could go back to that show 20 years from now and watch it and be just as in love with it
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's
20 years as we are now.
Well, it's 10 years now
It's-
gone.
well,
10
Yeah,
years
and that
on.
doesn't even seem
and
right.
it's aged really well too. So
Well, and from a totally nerd perspective, they get all the space battle stuff correct, which no other movies like ever attempted to do. There's no sound in space.
Well, that's quiet. Yeah, definitely. Every
very
time
quiet.
every time they cut to a scene outside the ships, it's just so deathly quiet.
Yeah, and that's the scariness of it too.
Yeah.
It's much more for me like you're out there and there's zero sound and just stuff's blowing up everywhere and there's bits of metal and they use rail guns and nukes and stuff and it's very standoffish. The main battleships are way away from each other, separated by miles and miles of space, as opposed to the opening scene in the second of the first trilogy of Star Wars, where these big battle cruisers are like 8 feet away from each other,
Yeah,
blasting
the
each
hell
other
out of
with
it.
huge laser cannons, and there's not doing any damage.
well, and it's funny talking about the sound, but the accuracy of it. But it's also, as you think of it as a cinematic device, it's really that contrast that you're on a bridge and shit's all hell's breaking loose, and then you go out there and it's
Yeah, it's like this quiet death thing.
Yeah, and it's really intimidating.
I liked it.
Yeah,
So that's my
I
first
think you've
show.
talked me into watching this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I
again,
think we're going to watch it again.
Yeah, we need to go back and watch it again.
And the
for
second
sure.
show, and to be honest, I don't know that I felt the passion, if you have a passion about a TV show, felt as strongly about even Battlestar Galactica as this show. But I don't know, and I hate to even bring this up because it's still in production, but True Detectives, I completely hooked, and I don't know, I really think that is, again, characters. It was Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, and just it's so fantastic. I could have watched that in 48 hours, 72 hours nonstop. I could have watched it back to back to back.
I still need to watch that, and I think it's HBO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they have it on that HBO Go or whatever, but it's not on Amazon yet, right?
I think it may be just released. We saw something on previews the other day. So
it may be. I'm sure you can buy it on there, but
Yeah.
because I know you can buy it. I bought it on iTunes because I don't have cable anymore. But yeah, it's fantastic. And like, here's what I love: Woody Harrelson. And he is totally willing to be the heel of that show, and we were just talking about this at work.
True Detective is available on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Season one.
And
The only season.
he's willing to be the heel of that show, come off like an ass. So here's what I liked about it. We were talking about this at work, I think, the other day. So he plays the moral, upstanding character, right? If you listen to what Woody Harrelson says
Yes.
and how he judges people, he's the moral, upstanding one.
Right.
And then other dude
Cole.
is like, Cole, oh, you're just a liberal, you're all this philosophy bullshit, and like you need to get right with your life. And Cole's actually the one that's leading almost the life of a monk, as he's doing this. But then, juxtaposed to that, Harrelson's character is out of control with his morality, everything that he's doing, but he still views himself as the moral person, the guiding light, not even seeing what his own hypocrisy is in relation to all of that.
Right.
But Woody Harrelson plays that phenomenally well and is willing to be the kind of the guy that comes off looking like an ass.
Well, and I don't know. I really think those two together fed off each other. I mean, I think there was a chemistry
Well,
there
sure,
that
as
they
actors,
probably
yeah.
didn't even expect, and I think that's probably even better than what they even expected.
They're really good friends, though, in real life, right?
I
I
don't
bet
know.
they smoke tons of weed.
Probably.
No, I believe that
Their chemistry
in,
is
in real life.
crazy.
They're
Yeah, I would imagine so. They seem like two peas in a pod.
Yeah, but it's about contrast, like we was talking before. The contrast. I've only seen snippets on YouTube.
Yeah.
Time is a flat circle snippet that was running around, and that hooked me. And I definitely want to get it. It's one of those things. It's the internet. God bless it, has given us access to so much content that sometimes it's like going into a store and there's 800 brands of peanut butter. It's like, man, I just want some Jif. Can I have some Jif? And it's almost
Do you want that organic, crunchy, super slimy?
Well, it's
Watery.
and that's why
Oily.
retailers understand that, especially supermarkets and stuff, that a lot of them limit selection because they know people will just I don't know which one to get. I'm out of here.
Right.
And won't get anything.
I am overwhelmed. I've been conquered by my peanut butter decision. I must leave the store immediately.
And I'm a little bit sometimes when I log into Netflix and want to watch a show, if I don't have anything in particular in mind, I go, okay, I got my list of 500 cap shows that I've put on my wait list, and I'll just sort through them, and I won't watch anything, or I'll sit there for an hour just
you'll spend all your time that you could have watched.
Do I want to watch
sorting,
this one? It's I need to just
I
trim
think
it down to like 25 shows.
But I think that's what you're saying right there is like, what do I watch and why do I watch it is like why I wanted to do this podcast. Because I talk to people all the time. Guy used to work for me. We went out, had cigars and drinks the other night. He's like, hey, I need a show that
is
me
that
and
what
my
y'all call it these days?
Yes, me and my wife can watch. Here's like kind of the shows she watches. What should we be watching? Because he doesn't want to have to deal with digging through 500 things to figure out like, oh my gosh, what are the 500 things I'm looking at? What are the 5 that I want to watch 20 minutes of to see if I like it or not? I mean, there's so much stuff out there now with the proliferation of all the Netflix original stuff, everything that comes on Amazon. And the show I'm going to talk about a little bit is brand new to Amazon. It's phenomenal. I really liked it, and I've been binge watching it in the last 3 days. But that's the thing is like with all these sources coming at you, how do you find like the show that you want? Like I could name like 60 shows from BBC and BBC America that you guys have never heard about that are phenomenal shows, but there's no way unless you spent like the 40 hours that I did digging through Netflix, digging through the internet, digging through all this, or going through this is the thing that I hate about Netflix. There's so much stuff on there you can't find. But you have to find a show you like, and then get the 10 things that it says are similar.
Recommended
and
if
then,
you like.
Yeah. And then go, well, look at that. Like, no. Oh, that kind of looks good. Watch 10 minutes of that. Totally sucks. Now I got to back out.
Who has that kind of time?
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. And that's what, if any of these companies, Netflix and Amazon, the one that can conquer that, like, how do they get you? Netflix knows what I have watched since I started Netflix in 95, 96. The year I moved away from Denton, 97, I think is when I started the Netflix DVD rental. So they have that much history on me, and they still can't get me recommendations that are anywhere close to what I would watch.
Yeah. Well, the same thing, I think Amazon does it better, at least in related to their website, with recommended stuff based on stuff you've looked at or you've bought. They seem to, whatever algorithm they developed to select something you might be interested in, they seem to do a much better job of that on their, like for books and stuff like that. I don't know if their shows.
Well, I'm sure that the number crunching, the big data that they use, they can apply to Amazon Prime. Yeah. I've only watched maybe 5 shows on there, so that their level of knowledge, like what I'm into, is pretty low. And still, they don't have a ton of content on there. I mean, they try to act like they do, but they don't.
Yeah, the show Nikki and I watch religiously is been this is Amazon story again. True Blood. Mm-hmm. So it was on Amazon Prime. So we started watching. It started back at the start. It's a really interesting show. Not a lot of sparkly vampires. A little bit grittier.
Which is why I'm out. Like if they don't have sparkles, I'm out.
I know.
There's no bare-chested werewolf guy.
Yeah,
but see, we
out of their teenage
emo
years.
vampire guy.
See, that's
I'm a little skeptical by that show.
It's pretty good. It's
really?
pretty good. It's a little.
It has a certain amount of hokiness to it.
Yeah, but
like
they're in Louisiana.
I think you guys
what are you gonna do?
dig it because for me, it's like an adult version of Buffy. Like it has that same. It's in that same genre, but it's definitely more adult oriented than Buffy was. But it still has some of the stuff is a little hokey, tongue in cheek, a little bit. And you kind of have to buy into that world, how it's constructed. I think.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing with that show is on Amazon. So we started watching it. And then we get to like season 5, and what do? They start asking to pay for it. And I was like, oh, come on, guys. So we said no. And then we just decided to get back on the DVD plan for Netflix and get it delivered. It's slower. We're probably paying more, but it's sort of a
at some
sort
point
of an FU to Amazon for doing the way they do it.
You have to vote with your dollar on that, and they should be able to tell that. Like that's like why? How many people transition from watching the first 5 seasons for free to buying the 6th season, I would imagine it's really, really low.
Yeah, I just can't.
People just stop and wait. Okay, maybe they'll put the 6th season.
I do
out
it
for
all the
free,
time.
Yeah.
Like there are probably 30 shows that come on Netflix like a year afterwards. I would never buy. I like the show, but I don't have a great amount of passion around it. I wouldn't spend any money on it. I just wait a year.
Yeah.
What do I care?
That's
too many out there anyway.
I didn't get into that show, the American version of The Office, until it went off air, and I binged watched that.
I still haven't seen episode 1.
It is
really.
It is such a good show, and the shows are like 22, 24 minutes a pop, so you can snack on like 4 of them like nothing.
Yeah, the only sitcom that I've binge watched is 30 Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, I never watched it when it was on the air, not 1 second.
Yeah,
and then it was probably on Netflix for like a couple years before I ever watched it, and then it was like in a week I watched them all.
I've never watched an episode.
Alec Baldwin is genius on that show.
It is genius, and I think that is actually for me a better. Like I'm not a sitcom watcher, so for me, it like being able to watch those in a rapid succession makes the jokes funnier.
Yeah.
To me, like if I can sit down and watch an hour and a half, 2 hours,
and you're going to see the progression of the characters, what there is in a sitcom like that.
Well, that's the same with Parks and Recreation. It's very much like The Office.
I need to go back and watch that.
Parks and Rec is really funny. Chris Pratt, he's making, he's big. He's big
in
time.
that. Was he in Torchwood too? I thought I read that, but he was in some weird BBC show.
But it could be. But he's big right now. He's he's going to be in Jurassic World. He was in
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Star-Lord, yeah.
Star-Lord.
And his character...
Call me Star-Lord.
His character on Parks...
Somebody finally does it, he just looks at him and goes, finally.
Well, his character on Parks and Rec he's such a buffoon, but he's so funny. I mean, and it's just... It's interesting to see him transition from that, and then, of course, Guardians... he's sort of still in that same world, but he's supposedly more like Indiana Jones-ish in Jurassic World. So
yeah, well,
it looks like much more action hero as opposed to his comedy.
Yeah, and he's got that comedy element and that leading man element. He's like he's the new Harrison Ford, you know. In his little Star-Lord, that's kind of like a modern day Han Solo.
Yeah. So he's like a mix for me. He's like a mix of Harrison Ford and Tom Hanks in a way.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, a little bit more physical comedy, a little...
It'll be interesting. Like I'll buy that analogy if he can come out and do like a couple of really serious movies,
like Philadelphia or something.
Or something. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that dramatic, but just something where he can totally sell a movie with no action and no comedy.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I don't know if he has that range, but man, he is super hot right now. I mean, he is the it guy, and he's a really nice guy.
That's what I think. The things I've heard is super down to earth. He's not pretentious at all. He gets it. Like, hey, I was a complete dork imbecile like a week ago. One big movie, and it doesn't. I shouldn't change, and now I'm like, hey, I'm this Hollywood badass.
Well, and his wife, Anna,
much like Harrison Ford,
Anna Faris. I think is his wife. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
I don't really get into who they marry or bang or any of that.
She's apparently very quirky as well, and they keep each other centered and stuff. So it could be all PR too. But who knows?
You see that on the Chive, the bet he had with what's his name? Who plays Captain America? Chris Evans.
The Chive?
No, Chris Evans is Captain America.
Yeah. Well, Chris
Evans.
You
were going to say Captain Kirk. No, that's the other Chris or whatever.
Yeah.
They're all named Chris.
Yeah. But both of those guys are buddies, Chris Evans and Chris Pratt, and they had a bet. One of them,
I saw the Super Bowl thing they did.
Yeah, one was a Seahawks fan, one was a Patriots fan, and Pratt was Seahawks, Evans was Patriots. And so they had a bet, whoever's team won, the other one had to come to their city and go to their kids' hospital and visit them. And they both were so good natured about it. They both said, "Well, we'll just both." Pratt went to New England to do since he lost, and Seahawks lost. But then the other Evans said, "I'll come to Seattle too, and we'll see the kids, your kids,
Yeah. Well, that's
that dude does. He goes every week. He goes to the kids' hospital and visits the kids in the cancer ward and all that.
Well, that's like
so he's a pretty
like
stand-up guy.
That wrestler John Cena. he is always big into I think Make-A-Wish and always visiting
Have you seen this stuff online? I think it's John Cena. All his wrestling moves are transposed on all these fail videos.
Yeah.
Where he jumps up and like crushes their head into the cement and stuff, and they fall off their skateboard. I just saw that the other day. I thought that's pretty funny and a very unique idea. Somebody was really stoned when they came up with that.
Did y'all see that the other day on YouTube? Jean-Claude Van Damme did a whole bunch of hokey, cheesy green screen sessions where he's like shooting a gun in front of a green screen, and it's free to use, and people can just use it and mix in their own videos. And he's acting like a total dork. It is the best. Because it's just all these little clip cuts of him like shooting a machine gun and
I tell you
saying,
somebody,
I will get them.
I tell you somebody I used to loathe, and I don't think maybe Universal Soldier is the only of his movies I've ever watched all the way through.
Yeah.
But someone who I think at the time took himself very seriously as like
Dolph Lundgren?
No, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Was took himself very seriously. Thought he was a Hollywood badass, and blah blah blah. And now, in retrospect, if you've ever seen VNDM, his movie making fun of himself essentially, and like the stuff you're doing, it seems like now he gets it.
Yeah,
like I'm just a guy, and I was in these movies, and it's no big deal, and like let's have fun with the rest of this stuff.
Yeah, well, he had a super rocky career, a lot of issues, and early, and he sort of, I think, from what I've gathered, it seems like he sort of fell in love with himself. And the stardom, and the
very
fame.
very big headed,
and now it's like Mike Tyson basically. I mean, Mike Tyson, he was pretty horrible person when he was younger, and now he's.
Have you guys seen his HBO thing?
Yeah.
What is it called? Tells it like it is, or something
like that,
along those lines. I thought it was pretty funny because he was just making fun of himself the entire time.
Yeah, and he's sort of turned that corner, and he can at least look back at the stuff he did, some pretty horrible stuff, and he sort of come to terms with it. And he had like a really hard childhood growing up, and it's good to see why that doesn't atone for any of that stuff. That he's able to recognize it and move past it, and have some peace, a little bit more peace later on.
Yeah,
because he blew a lot of money.
I have so much mint in my Moscow Mule. It's like a salad now that I'm down at the bottom of it.
Well, that's the beauty of it. You can now have a salad.
You're always asking me to make salad.
Vodka infused salad.
No, that's an amazing thing.
Did you
liquor infused salads. That way, the soccer mom can eat and get hammered at the same time.
Exactly.
Did you find a devil's egg a deviled egg?
No.
A
Thank
devil's
God.
egg.
A devil's egg.
The devil's egg.
She's the devil's egg.
She has been called that, I think.
True that.
Very much so.
So what? So like True Blood. That to me, that's the thing we're currently on.
You're binge watching.
Yeah, we're currently in the middle of that. I'd burned through, like I said, a few months back. Burned through The Office. I really recommend that. It's really funny. What is his name? Steve Carell?
Steve
Michael
Carell.
Scott.
Yeah. Are you kidding?
I just ate a big red candle. That guy?
Is that him? Yeah. He is so cringe-inducing in that show.
Oh, he's we used to watch it when it was on, you
Yeah.
know, and with Ginger being an HR, he's like an HR nightmare, you know.
It used to make me uncomfortable
Yeah.
watching it.
It was like, ooh.
Well, I think that's why I avoided the American version, because Ricky Gervais was so good on the British version, and he's totally cringeworthy. And the BBC allows him, obviously, to be a little bit more risque.
More
Speaking of
crass.
dildos, like my favorite scene from the BBC version is when they plant a dildo on his desk, and he has this big auditor coming in for the office corporate and make sure they're doing all their stuff the way they're supposed to.
Right.
And he's flipping through his paperwork, and he flips some paperwork over, and there's this huge dildo in his hand, or on his desk. So he, without missing a beat, grabs it, and it's one of these that like swivels and turns, and
omnidirectional.
yeah, he goes out into the sales floor, and it's very, very same setup as the American version. Goes out on the sales floor and is holding it in his hand with it going off. And I was watching this before work one day on Netflix, and it's just going and twisting and doing this thing. And he's like, "Who This dildo is this. It's so funny. Literally crying, tears down my face. And his boss is right there asking, and he's trying to show like he's got this big thing and he's going to get to the bottom of this and who's planted this. And it's just so horrifying and twisted. And he's just so, doesn't realize how awkward the situation is. He's just in charge and he's going to figure out who's done this to him.
He's getting down to the bottom of the dildo.
The most
dildo gate.
The most cringe-worthy episode of The American Office is when Michael J. Scott promised that school of underprivileged children that he would, if they made it all the way through high school, that he'd pay for their college education. And then, lo and behold, years later, I guess he forgot about it, and they called him on it. And what happened in that episode, and it was just made you just want, I just want to shut off the TV. No, I got to watch and see what I just want to shut it off.
Yeah, the uncomfortable part of it, like you just can't watch, is definitely one of the better aspects of the BBC, and that's what I've heard too about the American version.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Story about Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Carell.
Carol, whatever.
Carell.
I called him Carol.
Amy.
Is he Canadian?
Paul calls him Carol. No,
only on Fridays.
He's American.
Amy was in the airport, and he was in one of those news stands, and he was on the lower part, and she was up above him looking for something, and it fell off, and it kind of fell like on his head and over. And she looked over, and she's like, "Oh shit, this is Steve Carell," and she's like, looks down, and she goes, "Being short sucks." That's the only thing she can think of to say.
Nice, I like it.
Funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We hope it would have been nice if she could have confirmed if it's Carol or Carell.
Yeah.
Is it Carol?
We'll ask.
In addition to,
I think it's Carell. I think that's how
think
people
Steve
refer to
Carell,
him.
yeah.
I think
it's
it is.
Carell.
Yeah.
No idea.
I intentionally mispronounced people's names for years, and then I started to think, like, is that really how it is?
Mueller.
Brain instead of Brian.
For sure.
Brain.
My cocktail is done. Do we need to make another round?
I'm still.
Here's the problem. We're going to have to go to something else because
Yeah,
I'm all out of
we have to go to
ginger
a
Well,
beer.
I have
drink.
all kinds of something else. So the beer fridge is loaded.
Okay.
The bar has whiskey, rum, vodka, tequila.
And you know how Ron tells the story. It's going to take 35 minutes to set up his show.
Yeah, 45 minutes into it, we're just like, tell us what fucking show it is. Just now, tell us.
The setup
Just
with
tell me the
Ron-
ending. Tell me the ending. Let's get it over with. I don't care.
Love you, honey.
Ginger, will you wake up, Paul?
Tug on the beard.
Paul, will you wake up?
Oh, a callback earlier to the show that Jessica Alba was in. That was Dark Angel. We were trying to think of earlier.
Oh, it
Nice
wasn't. It
use
wasn't
of the-
Sin City. Was that her? Sin City.
Yeah, she was in the movie Sin City. I guess both of them. The
okay.
newest one and the older one.
Oh, are you talking? It was a TV show, not a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was back around 99, 2000 when it came
I
out.
never heard
Okay,
of it.
before, and I had to step out for a minute. And one last thing I wanted to say about True Detective. Sorry.
Ah, yes.
I digress. I didn't want to mention that show because it's still on, and I'm really, really extremely nervous about the new characters because it's not the same. It's not them
Each
again. It's
season
it's in a new
own
town, a
separate
new
story.
and
That seems like a hard act to follow.
Yeah, it
especially
really
yeah,
with it being
they set the
so-
bar pretty darn high. on the
Yeah,
first one.
when you have that much success and then you it's like tampering with the formula, right? And that's going to be interesting if they can meet that bar.
It could be a major blow up.
it could be, but I think they expect that too. I think they know that, so they're. I don't know. I was hesitant to even mention that, but I don't.
No, you're not the first person I've heard say that. I haven't even watched the show, but I know that I've read in some online stuff
think
that
you would
people
love
are
it.
worried.
Yeah,
You would love Paul.
cast
It's
number
actually-
2,
Yeah.
they're going to come back in and go, thanks for fucking it up for us.
And one other thing, to tell the story, one of the best stories, Woody Harrelson's the whole line that you say every once in a while. I can't ever say because I can't recall exactly.
There's two favorite parts I have of True Detective. And it's not giving away anything about the plot or whatever. There's two lines there that I love that are awesome. Well, one is when Woody Harrelson's telling about he's telling the boys in the police station about his having sex with his college girlfriend. and did not know that he says he's telling the story. He goes, I didn't know that her roommate came into the room while we were having sex. And he goes, how I knew that she was in the room was suddenly she stuck her finger in my butthole and sent me through the room. And then they all laughed and everything. And he goes, and now I can't live without it.
I'm hooked. I'm in.
It is the whole thinking of it's Woody Harrelson.
She must have roomed with Gary Russell.
But yeah, the way he delivered it and everything was just awesome. That's my very favorite line in that. And the next one is when he's talking. It's him and Rust in the car, Rust Cole and Matthew McConaughey's character and Woody Harrelson's character. They're driving and Woody at this point, I can't remember what episode it's in, but he's kind of lamenting the fact that he may be a little morally bankrupt, or he has some moral issues.
Slightly.
Yeah, he has some slight moral issues, and he's like, and he goes, and he asks Russ a couple questions, and then his one that kind of brings out the cool line is, am I a bad man, or are we bad men? I can't remember if it's I or we. But we bad men, and then yes. Russ, not missing a beat, Russ is like, he goes, Marty, the world needs bad men. We keep the other bad men from coming in the door.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's cool.
And how like the stuff that Russ does is he breaks every law, essentially, to pursue it. Goes way outside. Again and again, for sure, yeah. So I think that's not just a line he's putting out there. He's like, that's how he's living his life. That's why he's living a life of this monk. He doesn't have any trappings of a normal life because he is devoted to this life of catching criminals and murderers. And that's like I am a massive sucker for the show that's about the world-weary police officer who just can't give up, can't turn in the badge, can't find another career. Probably isn't the best cop at this point, but still has to pursue because they see their life's goal and mission as this gatekeeper, right, between the people that are just trying to live their lives and the people that are trying to come in and take advantage of the system and rob and murder people. Like if you probably haven't seen Wallander, which is Kenneth Branagh does that on BBC.
Heard of that.
And it's a remake of a show called Wallander. I think it's Swedish, but I may be getting that
You're
wrong.
You're talking about Lilyhammer, are you?
No, oh gosh,
no. I saw.
I watched 10 minutes of Lilyhammer.
I saw like 2 episodes, and I said, click.
Yeah, me too. I was out on that. Yeah. But Wallander is the guy's name, so it's actually Kenneth Branagh. They go back and they shoot it in Sweden. I think it's Sweden.
In the fjords.
In the fjords.
Fjords with the moose.
But it's very much
by a moose.
It's very similar character to the Rust character, where he's lost his wife, his kid barely talks to him, he's estranged from his parents because his dad's a famous painter, and he's a detective. That's all he knows. He doesn't take care of himself. His life is shambles, but all day long, every day, probably 23 hours a day, his driving force is to catch killers. He's very tortured, and all this stuff really gets to him. So it's not even like he's the
angsty teenager.
It's not even like he's the guy that does the job and none of it gets in. Like everything he does and sees totally gets in and destroys his soul, but he can't turn away from it. He can't do it because he's got this kind of guiding principle well, if I don't do it, then who else does it? And I'm really good at it, and even though it destroys me day by day by day, I continue to do it. I would highly recommend watching Wallander. And Kenneth Branagh is amazing, right? I mean, You may or may not think so, but
is this Netflix?
It was on Netflix. It's BBC. I would imagine it's still on there. I think it's only 2 episodes or two seasons. Most of the BBC stuff does. They only do 6 episodes a season, right. And I think their mini movies are an hour and a half long, and every one of them is based on one of these Wallander books that some dude in Sweden wrote. I tried. I can't do this anymore. Where you watch foreign stuff and read it and watch I can't do it anymore. I'm out. If it's subtitles, I just can't do it. I'm lazy. Yeah. Used to, I would watch foreign movies all the time and subtitle it and kind of force my way through it, but I'm so lazy now. I need to be spoon fed.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's still available on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
That's
too.
worth checking out because
The cinema, you would love it from cinematography, shot wise, the effects that they use on the shots and stuff. You would love that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, because like I was saying before, is that an hour and a half of a time investment. I mean, I spend an hour just looking at the 500 titles I have on Netflix, and then I have 30 minutes to watch.
I just burn an episode trying to figure out what to watch.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
an hour and a half uninterrupted, non-commercials. That makes a huge difference too.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's I mean, this whole idea of binge watching is that it's not the way the traditional media had thought that these were going to be consumed. People are consuming things like a movie. You know,
Right.
like committing 2 hours to watch like 4 episodes or of something, and like Ginger was saying, you know, you want to watch more and more
I almost
Well,
think-
and more.
And Netflix makes it so easy with their
Oh,
like
yeah.
20-second countdown.
Yeah.
Next episode's queued up for you. It's coming in 20 seconds, and
Yeah.
it's like you have to like almost like physically like jump up and like, okay, wait a minute, I got to stop this to stop watching it. Otherwise, it just flows into the next one, and you can just keep on.
And then
going.
like 3 hours later, it says, "Are you still watching?"
Well, and have you ever stopped and talked to people? There are a ton of people who binge watch. There's a lot of people out there, like Amy and Paul. They do it all the time.
Yeah, well, I think that's why Netflix was so like, it's no big deal. We're just going to load them all up anyway on all the original stuff that they've done. Because, number one, that's functionally how their system works anyway. A whole season comes on there all at one time.
Right.
But I think that they have access to everything you do on your DVR. And they know, I think, that most people don't sit down every week and watch what's DVR'd on there. They do catch-ups. Okay, like I'm busy.
Right.
I got 4 hours. I'm going to burn through 4 hours of Castle or whatever else I've got DVR'd. I mean, so I think they know that that's why anybody's doing it anyway. So why fight it?
And this is the norm now. And this is the last season of Parks and Recreation, and they run 2 new episodes a week, back to back. So it's like a little mini binge every week.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh well, they're 24-minute episodes. I think that's what 22, 24. But they're back to back, so you might as well watch them both.
Yeah. And
So
like
it's
with
clever.
what's the political one on Netflix? Like
House of Cards.
House of Cards. So I watched both seasons of that, and it's like
It's
you
good.
wait.
It is
Kevin
Kevin
Spacey,
Spacey.
right?
It is really good.
But that was really, I think, the first one that they threw everything out there. It's like original deal, and everything's out there all at once. And they put it out there, and like 2 days later, I'm done, and I'm like, I have to wait.
13 episodes, right?
Yeah.
And Netflix is, I just read yesterday, is going to be investing something like $5 billion in new content.
That sounds like a lot of money.
New original content. That is a huge amount. I believe they're taking on debt to service.
Yeah, they're massively debt. That's why their stock gets hit so hard, because
Yeah.
they have such a debt encumberment.
Well, especially this year, because they just recently announced what their plan was, and they took a look.
Yeah, but they've got that. I think that's the thing. The way forward with Amazon, and that's what I'm going to talk about here, and has done some really cool things in the last couple of years around original content. And I think that the original content providership thing that they're going to do is definitely the way forward for them. But I think if they don't do it, they're never going to capture enough market share to really, at the end of the day, be players, right? To compete with cable systems and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They have to be able to. They can't rely on other people's content.
Yeah.
Content is king, or whatever the thing is. They have to have their own.
Well, and you look at any company like, let's say Disney. They have
Don't say Disney.
I will say Disney. They have, love them or hate them, they have captured a ton of media, and with their acquisition of the Star Wars property, Marvel.
The IPs that they control is just dumb.
And they
now.
And they are going to wring every cent out of it, and they know how to do it.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I hope Star Wars doesn't suck.
Oh, you
Damn
and
well
everybody
better
else. You and everybody else.
All right, I need another cocktail, so we're gonna have to take a break.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Anybody watching Banshee?
No.
So-
Is that good?
No, I don't know. I just really like the guy that's the main character in that.
Is he hot?
Yeah, he's cute, but it's not why I like him. Well, okay, come
Liar.
on.
Hello-
I like it.
hello,
I can
guys.
like people.
Hello,
I
guys.
can like people because they're not hot. By the way, it's true.
Okay.
Just not in that way.
I just wouldn't. I would like them.
a
I
little
wouldn't
bit.
think anything good about
I
them.
am not that
if
shallow.
you're not hot, you've been friend zoned.
yeah, or worse.
Hey, Brian, before you get rolling, that show
We
you was
are
telling,
rolling.
that show before
that's
you get
okay.
rolling on something else. What was that show? Longmire.
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 Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that? I thought that sounded
So it is awesome. Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. Is
Oh,
on
I'm
there.
in.
So hot. Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff. Yeah.
So hot. That's,
Some
that's
pe-
why you're in.
some people like the sack on. I like the sack off.
Yeah. So
Yeah, next rule.
So it's a great mix. If you think of like old Gary Cooper westerns,
Oh yeah.
just the very upstanding Western guy that's going to do the right thing no matter what.
Sort of the high noon sort of.
Yeah. And then you mix in a lot of personality flaws, a lot of tragedy in his life.
Brokeback Mountain.
Not that
Not that tragic.
Not that that's tragic. That was tragic.
Can't quit you.
Yeah. He's not that kind of cowboy.
But he does have his chaps. That
If
he
you're
likes
into
to
that
wear.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah.
So but what starts off. Here's one thing I like about shows. I like a show to start, which is it feels like it's in the middle of the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
And
there's
you're having
all
to kind
this
of catch up with it.
all this backstory stuff that you learn or whatever. Like it's just not like, once upon a time and then goes on from there. It's just like you're on chapter 10 and that's where they start telling you stuff. That's very good about that. He's a kind of a really stand-up, wholesome guy that is in the fringes of the country. You know, I think the show is supposed to be in Idaho. It's based on the Longmire mysteries.
Sort of very
It's based on-
rugged area.
rugged area, kind of fighting the encroachment of modernity and stuff like that. So
Was there any Indians with tears in there?
there are Indians, real Indians, not
Not Italian.
Sicilians,
Not Italian
Not
Indians.
Sicilians playing in America.
There's no mobbed up Indians in this.
Well, unless they're in casinos, then.
There's a casino as well. But it's really good, and it got canceled, and Netflix picked it up, and so
What?
now it's a Netflix original.
2 seasons?
3, I think.
I once again, I don't want to beat the dead Amazon horse, but I go look for it after we talked about it on Amazon. You can buy it. You go over to Netflix. You're already paying. Thanks. You're
Yeah,
here.
it's there. Have you started to watch it at all?
No, not yet. I'm going to watch the episode tonight.
You'll like it. Darius and I really love it. And like the day it got canceled, the day they released, the information came out, Darius and I were texting back and forth. Oh my God, did you see it? And I was just like, I think Netflix will pick it up. It's that good, I think. And then like 2 weeks later, Netflix announced that they were going to, I think they're going to, just much like they did The Killing, they're going to pick it up. Because I'm sure it's been very popular on Netflix.
Oh, The Killing. We invested a lot of time into that. And it's like, would you please just catch the motherfucker?
Well, I'm okay because I watch a lot of the BBC stuff that I watch never has resolution in season 1. The season 1 to 2 transition is the midpoint of the story. So for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I understand like a lot of people had issues with it.
But it's like it felt so like they were taking so long. It was like it was happening in real time. I was like, oh my God.
It's cinema verite.
Yeah, exactly.
With no editing.
The interesting thing character wise about that the female cop in The Killing is that her character, I noticed it. I was like, man, what is she doing that is catching my attention? She doesn't turn her neck when she doesn't turn her head. She turns her body. If you say something to her, she sort of turns the whole torso. And I caught on to that. I knew something
Who is
was
that?
This is a test. This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test.
Unfortunately, we did experience some technical difficulties during the recording of our first podcast. Paul, who had one too many Moscow Mules, tripped and fell into all of your recording equipment, knocking it to the ground, and thus ended the recording of the first podcast. Just kidding. We ran out of memory on the recorder. So we will see you next time, and we promise not to let Paul get too out of control. Until then, this is Bingewatchpodcast.com.